morning. Big day today, huh?
Yes, I'm testifying.
I guess you know what they're going to ask you, right? Questions about cigarette butts and such.
Yes, and something else, something brand new that I've agreed to help Mason with.
What? A new big revelation in the courtroom today?
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
He asked me not to talk about it. Sorry. Well, I gotta go.
Oh, no. Hold your horses. I'll go with you. I'm going to have to, with this picture on the tube.
No,
around.
I'm afraid you're not going anywhere, Pearl. I may need you later.
Yeah, but Mr. C, I just thought that I could take Miss Capel down to the courthouse.
I just heard that, but that's impossible. You're going to have to go alone, Courtney. And you, young man, I want the car washed. Got about an inch of dirt on it.
Yes, sir. Like that, I got 1 hour before showtime. And what do I got? Snow. Come on.
Looks so handsome.
Good morning. I didn't know you were awake. Does this tie look sincere?
Oh, extremely.
Good. I can't afford to appear frivolous today.
No. That's a totally non-frivolous tie. Do you know, I think that you look even more handsome today than you did yesterday. Now, how is that possible?
Maybe because I feel so confident today. That could account for some of it.
What do you feel confident about?
Oh, some information I found out about my opponent's sleeping habits.
David, wake up. We have to get up. We're late.
Oh, come on. We got plenty of time.
No, it's 9:30. I am supposed to be at the court early, and then I have to meet Augusta for breakfast. And
Did I tell you how fantastic last night was? Huh? Yeah.
But it was a mistake. I must be out of my mind to be doing this. I've got to call Augusta. Oh, hold on. Okay. Yes, I'd like to speak to Augusta Lockridge, please. She's going to wonder where I was.
Why don't you tell her?
Very funny. Augusta?
What are you doing on the phone? You're supposed to be here in person.
I'm sorry. I'm running a little late. I'm not going to be able to make it for breakfast, but I'd really like to know if you can meet me at the court before today's session. When? In about 45 minutes.
I suppose so. What's it about?
It's about Lionel, but I'll tell you about it when you get there.
Oh, Lionel, look, I want to know now. What about him?
Look, just hold your horses. I'll tell you about it later. Bye.
Well, that's who it is, huh?
Who is?
The one you're going to use to take the suspicion off me. It's Lionel Lockridge, isn't it?
Wait. Don't go off without this.
An umbrella? This is Southern California.
I know. It's just to sort of round off the look. You know, I wish you had a Homburg.
You're beautiful, you know that? So much so that I think we can afford to let justice wait a little longer to be served. I love you.
I love you. I wish you didn't have to leave.
So do I.
You know what I think I'll do? I'm going to come see you in court today. It's been a long time since I've seen the famous Mason Capwell in action, and after all, the last time I didn't really get a chance to appreciate you.
Well, you could watch it all on TV.
No, I want to see it live.
Well, all right. You'll be inspiration. I think it's good for you to get out of the house and do things before you get tied down to it, raising 10 kids.
Listen, there's something we have to talk about.
What, our family?
Yeah, we have to be careful, at least until the annulment goes through.
No. I know that. Don't worry, we won't take any more chances.
What was I thinking of last night?
Don't worry. we'll take care of it. From now on, okay?
But it's too soon to have children.
Yes, I know. I've got to run. I'll look for you in the courtroom.
For me? You shouldn't have.
Come in.
I only came because you said it concerned Sophia.
That's right. You coming in or not?
All right?
Sit down. Just want to get rid of these.
Well, that's an artful arrangement.
I leave flower arranging to dilettantes like you.
Oh, that's right. You leave all the pleasantries of life for other people to enjoy. You only enjoy that which is unpleasant, right?
The thing I'm not enjoying is this situation with Sophia. That's why I've asked you here. I don't know how to handle it. So if you can contain your hostility for the next 2 minutes, we can have a meaningful discussion.
I'll try, for Sophia's sake.
Thank you. I don't want her to know that I know about her condition. She'd hate any show of pity, and she would think that any attention I give her would be because of the cancer.
I must say, if that was the case.
No. Despite everything, I never stopped caring about her. The thought of losing her would... What are you staring at?
Well, I just have to admit that you never said that before.
For a while, I felt and said I hated her. It was wounded pride. I would never let myself forgive her. I think that's probably what sent her to you in the first place. Now, they say you should never admit a weakness to an enemy, but I must admit that I envied your relationship with her, your togetherness, your openness. Why are you looking at me as if you just found out that I'm human? I mean, tragedies do change people sometimes, don't they?
Except that this isn't a tragedy. Not yet. Everybody thinks she's going to be fine.
All right. She talked to you about it. She was very open about it. How do I treat it? How do I treat her? I can't just pretend it doesn't happen, that it's not there. Just a minute.
Hi.
Sophia.
Oh, I see you're busy.
No, I was telling Lionel that I'm thinking of subdividing his former property into individual lots and selling them off.
Yeah, I told him I'd burn it down if he did. And that said, I guess I'd better go.
Come in.
I'm very surprised you came here.
So was I. I'm glad you did.
Oh, well, really. I was just driving by and I was thinking about the flowers. Thought maybe you would send them to the children's wing of the hospital.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I'll have them sent over. Excuse me.
I'll go.
No, please don't. Please wait. Hello.
Mr. Capwell, it's Justin Moore. I'm calling because I need your help.
What kind of help?
Well, I've got some information regarding Kelly. I'm up at the hospital right now. Look, I've been posing as a patient here so that I can talk to her, but...
Hello? Dr. Moore?
Augusta. I'm going to have to put Lionel on the stand.
You are? What for?
I have proof that Lionel and Madeline were meeting secretly.
Oh.
And I'm going to have to use Lionel as a way to create an element of doubt in the jury's mind.
I don't believe he was seeing her.
I have proof.
But you're wrong. And even if he was seeing her, it was probably for some business reason. Now, you can't just bring out accusations in open court. Do you know how much damage that'll do to Lionel?
Not as damaging as the verdict of guilty will be to David. He needs this, Augusta. Please, I have to create an element of doubt in the jury's mind. If there were any way that I could avoid doing this, you know that I would. And the only reason I'm telling you in advance is because you're my sister.
If Lionel was seeing her, it wasn't because he was having an affair. If you imply anything like that...
I'm not trying to cause a rift between you and Lionel, honest. I'm not. That's the last thing in the world I want for you.
You better worry about causing a rift between us. What kind of proof do you have?
Entries in Madeline's date book. And corresponding entries in Lionel's.
Entries. Lionel's own entries. I don't believe this. I don't want to think about it. I don't even know why you told me.
What the hell are you doing here?
I was subpoenaed. Miss Carlyle. You going to be changing your story?
I'm doing nothing of the kind. But Mason Capwell subpoenaed me, and he thinks my testimony is relevant somehow. But I can assure you I'm going to say what I've said all along. That David and I never had an affair. The only trouble is they found a letter that I had written to you.
Hello. Glad you could make it, Miss Carlyle. I'll show you where to sit. Julia?
Mason, you better talk to me.
I'll be right back.
Mason's up to something.
What?
I'm not sure. But here he comes now. Listen, you go inside and I'll... Oh, Mr. Capwell, can I get a reaction?
I'm sorry. I have no
Mason?
comments at this time. Would you excuse me? Yes, Julia, what can I do for you?
You can start by telling me what's going on, or I will move for a mistrial so fast you won't know what hit you.
Julia, I can't tell you how happy it makes me to give you my revised witness list.
Revised? Mm-hmm. Why wasn't I told?
I'm telling you now. I tried to tell you last night, but you were strangely incommunicado.
Was I?
Yes, I couldn't help but envy you. You know, when I'm working on a murder trial, I have to stay home and do my homework. There you are, gallivanting around. Is that confidence, I wonder, or inexperience?
Saw Marty Whitmore. You calling him? His photos are fake.
Yes, I've admitted as much to you.
Yet you're using him as a witness.
I didn't think a little local color would be amiss.
Don't give me that. What about Sheila Carlyle? She swore that she wasn't having an affair with David, and she says she'll continue swearing that.
I know that, too.
Yet you've subpoenaed her as well.
You'll just have to wait and see, Julia. Unless, of course, you want to object in the change in order of the witnesses. Of course, you have an absolute right to talk to her before she testifies, if you wish.
It's not going to do you any good, Mason. Whitmore's worthless, and Sheila's not going to change her story.
So why worry?
You're right. Go ahead. Hang yourself. But if I find out there's anything underhanded about this, Mason,
You'll
I swear...
be the first to know, Julia. Come now. Don't look so solemn. It's only a matter of life and death. I think it's time we were getting inside, don't you?
Nobody's going to get in to see Kelly except me. And that includes, for the time being, her immediate family and even former psychiatric residents.
Why? How can that kind of isolation do any good at all?
I told her family my techniques can't work if there's any interference from the outside.
I think it's time you and I have a frank discussion. I am not the only one who thinks your methods are dangerous. You're so intent on proving your own theories that you're completely disregarding the welfare of your own patients.
Those are rather bold words for a young man in your present awkward situation. I think I'm going to have to teach you a lesson. Orderly? Take this patient to the shock therapy room and prepare him for treatment.
No, wait a minute. You can't do this. Hey, I'm a doctor.
Delusional reaction, just what I expected.
No, Rhines, you can't do this. I'm warning you.
All right, Henry, just escort him out of the hospital. This was a kind of joke. He's not really a patient, he's an imposter. Just get him off the premises.
You're taking Kelly down the wrong path. I'm warning you.
In your estimation, Justin, not in mine.
Rawlings, I won't let you do this to Kelly. I won't.
And don't come back.
Defense counsel Julia Wainwright has entered the courtroom and taken her place at the defense table. Judge Reed is entering now. In a few moments, Special Assistant District Attorney Mason Capwell will call his first witness for this session.
What are you doing here? The TV reception on the boat was bad, so I figured I'd watch the trial here.
You seem to be taking a very deep personal interest in this case.
Everybody is. Just curious. Let's stop being bombarded by this. Let's go to the next one. CC called. I went over to his house. He wanted to discuss Sophia.
Never mind that. I just came from talking to Julia.
Well, that's nice. Mm-hmm. Two sisters talking. It's good to hear that you're getting along.
Don't change the subject.
Didn't know there was one.
Well, there is. Are you aware of the fact that Julia's going to call you as a witness to the defense?
Why would she do a thing like that?
I thought you might be aware of it. Lionel, what's going on?
The truth is, I don't know.
Julia said there was a relationship between you and Madeline Laurent. Of course, I told her she was crazy, but she said she had proof. Now, I'd like to know about it. I gave you the benefit of the doubt and stood up for you in front of her, but now I want an explanation. I want it now.
Now, Mr. Whitmore, you gave your profession as private investigator. Would you tell us what Madeline Laurent hired you to do in your professional capacity?
She asked me to look into her husband.
Look into him?
You know, check him out, see what he was up to.
I see. And what did she suspect he was up to?
She figured he was having an affair with a woman at work, supposed to be a business associate.
Do you know her name?
Sheila Carlisle.
And could you describe for the court the scope of your investigation?
Well, I tailed him.
Mm-hmm. And was your vigilance rewarded?
Was my what? What?
What did you find out when you followed them?
Well, they took business trips together, but they each had separate rooms and stuff like that. I followed them for a couple of months, but I was never able to get any real proof. But, you know, in my business, you have to have instincts, if you understand my meaning.
Indeed, I do. And you conveyed this information directly to Mrs. Laurent, did you not? Both your findings and your instincts.
That's right.
And when did you make your final report to her?
Well, it was on the same day that she was killed by her husband.
Objection, Your Honor.
You're quite right, Miss Wainwright. Sustained. Please strike the answer from the record. The jury is instructed to disregard the answer, and the witness is warned to keep his replies only to the facts.
What'd I do?
It's quite all right, Mr. Whitmore. I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Miss Wainwright.
All right, Mr. Whitmore. Isn't it true that because you couldn't come up with any conclusive proof of Mr. Laurent's infidelity, that his wife refused to pay you for your services?
Well, she paid the expenses along the way and such, but she wouldn't settle a final bill, no.
Mm-hmm. And as a result of this refusal, didn't you subsequently arrange to fake certain photographs, then tried to bring them to Mrs. Laurent to try to collect what you felt she still owed you?
That's right.
Then when you found out it was too late, that Mrs. Laurent was dead, didn't you try to blackmail Mr. Laurent with those same photos?
No. I just offered to sell him the photos. There was no blackmail.
You make very fine distinctions, Mr. Whitmore. But the simple fact is that because you couldn't come up with legitimate proof of Mr. Laurent's infidelity with Miss Carlisle or anyone else in the entire 2 months that you worked for Mrs. Laurent. Isn't that so?
No real proof, no.
And yet, you obviously told the prosecution that you were sure that Mr. Laurent and Sheila Carlisle had something going on. What made you so sure?
Well, like I said, it was, you know, I mean, when you're in my business, you get gut instincts. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I have gotten to be a pretty good judge of human character.
Let's examine your character, Mr. Whitmore. Isn't it true that 3 out of those past 20 years were spent in federal prison for tax evasion and extortion?
Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Whitmore's past is not an issue here.
Yeah, what has that got to do with the price of apples?
The price of apples, Mr. Whitmore, is that you, the witness, I've had 3 felony convictions based on dishonesty, and the jury has the right to hear that, and the right to wonder whether what the witness is saying is worth listening to. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
You may step down, Mr. Whitman.
What does it mean? What's Mason getting at here?
I'm not sure, but I have a hunch, and I don't like it.
Mr. Capwell, will you call your next witness, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. The prosecution calls the victim's sister, Miss Courtney Capwell.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name.
Courtney Carolyn Capwell.
Please be seated.
Mr. Capwell.
Girl, would you please turn that damn thing down?
No problem.
Miss
Mr.
Capwell,
C.
would you state your relationship with the deceased? I saw Kelly at the hospital the last time. She was quieter, more astute than she was the first time. But still like she was in some kind of a dream world.
Heartbreaking.
Looking back, I guess maybe Kelly needed psychiatric help all along, even before Dylan died. I just couldn't face it that a daughter of mine would need that kind of help. If it had, maybe none of this would have happened.
I know that. But I don't think very many people could have read the signs before Dylan was dead.
Well, Dr. Rowling seems to think Justin Moore should have been able to read them.
Rawlings?
And you and David and your sister Madeline lived together in the same house for a period of time. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Could you describe for us what your relationship with David was like during that period of time?
I thought of David as if you were my own brother.
And have you remained close since your sister's death?
No.
Miss Capwell, do you know a woman named Sheila Carlisle?
Yes, she works with David. I've seen her several times at the house when she's come by to pick up or drop off papers or to have a conference with David.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever have reason to believe that there might be more between David and Miss Carlisle than a simple business relationship?
Well, I didn't until recently. But in retrospect, I certainly had reason to.
Would you elaborate on that?
Well, it happened about 1.5 years ago in Aspen, Colorado during the Christmas holidays.
Could you describe for the court what happened on that occasion?
Yes. I was with Madeline and David, and we were on a skiing trip. Well, one afternoon, David said that he was tired and wanted to go in early. Well, a little while later, I decided that I'd go back to the condo myself. Madeline continued skiing. Well, when I got back, I saw David coming out of the condominium 2 doors down from ours. He didn't see me, and I never said anything to him, but 2 days after that, I saw Sheila Carlisle leave the same condo.
And, how did you react?
Well, I was quite surprised. I had no idea that Miss Carlisle was even in Aspen. But I shrugged it off. I considered it a coincidence.
And why do you suppose that David didn't tell Madeline that Miss Carlisle was there?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for a conclusion by the witness, and it hasn't been established that David didn't tell his wife.
Sustained.
Let me rephrase the question, Your Honor. To your knowledge, Miss Capwell, did David ever tell Madeline that Miss Carlisle was in Aspen on that occasion, for business or otherwise?
No, I know for a fact that he didn't. When I discussed it with Madeline later, she was as surprised as I was that Miss Carlisle was there.
So you believe that David and Miss Carlisle had a clandestine affair?
Objection, Your Honor. He's leading the witness.
I'm doing no such thing, Your Honor. I think the witness is more than qualified to give me an opinion of her brother-in-law's behavior.
Not that kind of opinion. She isn't.
Mr. Capwell, you know as well as I do that what you're asking for is speculative and conjectural and certainly not the best evidence. Now, let's have no more of it. The objection is sustained. The witness is directed not to answer the question.
All right. But I'd like to say that I have no doubt in my mind that they were having an affair.
I was secretly helping Grant Capwell, Cece's brother. He was trying to get control of the holdings, to take the reins, and he was going to share his good fortune with me if he succeeded.
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand how that involves Madeline.
Madeline was his daughter. There were very few people he trusted. She was going to act as a kind of liaison between us.
I find it very hard to believe that Cece's own brother was going to join in a conspiracy against him.
I don't know why you find that hard to believe. Have had families up for themselves, no matter who it hurts. You ought to know that.
Lionel, what happened the day you met her, the day before she was murdered?
We had a talk about business.
Why did you have it in the bungalow? Why not in a restaurant or some public
Because she invited me to the bungalow. We didn't want to be seen together in public. And CC, we couldn't let him get word that I was seeing Madeline under his own roof.
And you didn't have any physical attraction to her or anything like that?
I didn't think of her in that way.
No, silly me, of course not. The fact that she was young and beautiful and blonde and slender and fragile looking, just your type, and having all these meetings together in a bungalow. And, I mean, at least you must have been tempted to think of her that way.
Esther, you know something? You should have gotten a divorce from your jealousy, not from me.
Yes, I know, but it's still not a direct answer, is it?
I don't remember a question.
All right, maybe I'm being much too subtle about it. Why don't I just come out and ask you? Did you, by any chance, have an affair with Madeline? Maybe not at the end, but at the beginning?
No. Augusta, being jealous of the Quick is one thing, but suspecting the Dad. Look, if you don't believe anything from me, believe this. The only relationship that I had with Madeline Laurent was business.
I wonder why, after all these years of half-truths and whole evasions, I'm even suspicious.
Miss Capwell, I'd like to get back to your prior relationship with Mr. Laurent and what the atmosphere was like then. First of all, your parents didn't really approve of David, did they?
Well, David never tried to establish any kind of a relationship with them.
You mean he didn't curry favor?
Far from it.
Would you say that they actively disliked David?
Well, I know they weren't too happy to have him as a member of the family, no.
Miss Capwell, please, just a yes or no. They disliked him, didn't they?
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, if that's the best you're going to do, I suppose I'm going to have to accept that. What about you?
I love David. I cared for him very much. I only stopped caring for him when I thought that he was cheating on my sister.
And the reason that you thought he was cheating was because you saw David Laurent and then Sheila Carlisle coming out of the same condo in Aspen on 2 separate days, 2 days apart. You really make giant leaps with logic, Miss Capwell.
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
All right, let me ask you this. Did you ever catch the accused and Sheila Carlisle in any act of lovemaking?
No.
Did you suddenly walk in on them kissing or in some other kind of compromising situation?
No.
Holding hands?
No.
For that matter, did you ever see the two of them alone in the same room together?
No.
Fascinating. How in the name of heaven did you come to the conclusion that the two of them were having an affair? Miss Capwell?
I just assumed.
Oh, you just assumed. I see. I'm afraid the law doesn't accept assumptions as fact, and in the court of law, they certainly aren't accepted as evidence. Miss Capwell, if you're asked to testify again, I think that you should remember that. I have no further questions. Thank you.
You may step down, Miss Capwell. Will the prosecution call the next witness, please?
Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution calls Sheila Carlisle.
I don't understand why you won't allow us to see her. You've been allowing her to have other visitors?
That's true, Mr. Capwell. But I've had to discontinue her visitation rights for the time being. It's simply too dangerous for her.
Dangerous to see her own family.
To see anyone she was associated with before the incident. We have her on a very tight schedule. And I don't want her to be upset or influenced by anybody from the outside world. Our main task at the moment is to help her become acclimated to her environment here. It's a rebuilding process.
Well, I know Justin wants to see her.
He's not qualified to treat her. And in my opinion, he's one of the reasons she's in her present condition.
Well, I would like to talk to him.
I'm sorry, he's not here.
Doctor, he called me from here no more than an hour ago.
I know, and when I discovered he was here, I asked him to leave. And he did. I know you're both very concerned about Kelly, but I can assure you I'm going to do everything in my power to help her make a quick recovery. And I'm very confident that my method of treatment is the best one for her. Of course, Mr. Capwell, you're free to consult other doctors, get another opinion. I welcome that, but I don't welcome interference from a rank amateur like Justin Moore.
I'll see that it doesn't happen again. Doctor, if you can help her, I will be eternally grateful, and I'll find a tangible way to prove how grateful I am.
Your daughter's recovery is uppermost in my mind.
Do you think she'll have to stand trial?
Unfortunately, that will be the result of her recovery.
He's going to be fine.
Our experience and the full range of our facilities are devoted to her care and cure, Mrs. Armonti. Please trust us. We're doing everything that can be done for her.
When will we be able to see her?
I can't say for sure, but I'll let you know. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Dr. Rawlings.
It is. It's Rawlings.
How long have you been associated with the company?
I've been with them for 5 years.
And during that time, you've risen to a position of some power, have you not?
I'm vice president in charge of marketing.
Well, that's an impressive rise from a secretarial position.
Yes, you are.
What's this?
How egalitarian.
A subpoena?
Lionel, you either testify or you'll be cited for contempt of court.
Miss Carlyle, how long have you known the defendant in this case?
A little over 5 years.
And how would you characterize your relationship with him?
It was professional and platonic.
Yes, according to records we obtained from the company, you and he made several business trips together. Is that correct?
That's right.
And these trips were also professional and platonic.
They were all business trips.
I see. Miss Carlyle, are you married?
No.
Engaged?
No.
Do you have a boyfriend?
I'm not emotionally involved with anyone, if that's what you're asking.
Well, that's what I was working up to, but thank you for the shortcut. Does that include the defendant?
I beg your pardon?
I'm wondering if your lack of emotional involvement extends to the accused. But let me put it more directly. Did you ever have an affair with David Laurent? I remind you, Miss Carlyle, that you're under oath, you're sworn to tell the truth. Have you ever had an affair with David Laurent?
No. I never had an affair with him.
Do you recognize this? Is the handwriting familiar?
Well, yes, it's my
Wait a minute, I need to see that document, please.
By all means. Miss Carlyle, did you write this?
Yes,
When?
yesterday.
Your Honor, I would like this marked as prosecution's exhibit next in order and entered into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor?
So ordered.
Now, Miss Carlyle, would you read this?
You want me to read it?
Aloud. To the court.
Dearest David, you'll have to burn this letter after you read it, but I had to write it. You don't know how lonely it's been without you. Missed your arms around me at night and the way you kiss me awake in the morning.
That's a lie. Sheila, how can you do this to me?
You're out of order. I want order. Order Wainwright, I warn you, I want you to control your client.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
It's all a lie!
Let me see.
Would you continue, Miss Carlyle?
Whatever happens in the difficult days ahead, I want you to know that I love you. I always will. What we've been to each other in the last few months has meant a lot to me. Even though we can never let the world...
Sheila, how can you do this to me?
No more questions.
Miss Wainwright.
I know all about you and David and last night. I don't blame you for being upset. He can't seem to be true to anyone, can he?
Thank you, Pearl.
Mr. Moore?
Your maid said I could wait for you.
Why didn't you wait for us at the hospital?
Well, I would have, but Dr. Rawlings had me thrown out.
Thrown out or escorted out?
Well, let's just say forcibly escorted.
Well, he told us you haven't helped Kelly very much. In fact, he says you kind of harmed her.
Now, that's not true. Unless something is done about the way he's treating her, she's going to end up in worse shape than she is now.
Well, we seem to have two very divergent opinions here, yours and his, and I know Dr. Rawlings' reputation, and you don't have one.
All right, Cece, why don't we just listen to what he has to say?
All right, let's go in my study and discuss this.
Hi.
Hello there, stranger. I saw you on the boob tube today.
Yes, well, I didn't make such a great witness.
You sure could have surprised this witness. How come you didn't let me in on the Sheila-David connection?
Well, I only remembered the thing about Aspen recently.
Uh-huh. And I didn't at least deserve a boob?
Well, Mason asked me not to discuss it with anyone until I testified in court.
Since when am I just anyone?
Pearl, to tell you the truth, I felt recently that you've been on Julia's side, and I didn't want her to hear about it before I testified.
Courtney, you know me better than that. All you had to do is ask me, and I never would have told Julia. Okay, that's water under the bridge. You want to tell me now?
Well, I got this call. It was an anonymous call from a woman who said if I wanted to know what David was up to go to the Claremont Arms. Well, she gave me a room number, and when I got there, it was Sheila Carlisle's room. And in the room, I found a letter, evidence that they're having this affair. And that's what triggered the whole thing about Aspen.
That really sounds pretty bad for David, doesn't it? And Julia, she really believed in him.
I know. But then Madeline believed in him for a long time, too.
Miss Wainwright, are you going to cross-examine the witness or release her?
Your Honor, in view of the rather surprising testimony, the defense would like to request a recess.
Well, how long a recess would you require?
Excuse me, I'm not sure. I'd like to go over the development of this in detail with my client, perhaps an hour.
Well, in view of the time, I think we'd better be advised to recess until after the lunch hour. The witness may step down. The court will reconvene at 1.
All rise. Why didn't you go after her and break her down? She was already in tears. You should have moved in on her right away. Don't give her time to recover.
Just shut up.
I'm sorry, Justin, but Dr. Rawlings was assigned to the case by the court. He happens to be a highly respected doctor. Perhaps not by you, but certainly by his peers. I've made my own inquiries into his reputation. He has a fine one at that Boston clinic he was affiliated with for 8 years.
I've been there. I've seen her.
Well, I'm not going to serve any trouble with nothing going to come from it.
But something can come from it. I mean, your daughter's well-being, not to mention her safety, is at stake here.
Justin, please. She's certainly safe there.
That's not true. And there's a definite danger in her receiving inappropriate treatment.
I don't have the expertise to argue treatment with you, so I have to defer that to Dr. Rawlings' judgment. Now, I want you to back off and don't interfere anymore, or you could be in a lot of trouble.
That's your final word?
I'm afraid that's it.
okay. I did what I could.
Hang on a minute, Doc. I just may have a solution to your problem.
You.
Yeah. Me.
I don't understand what's going on. What did Mason whisper to you? Why didn't you cross-examine her right away?
I don't want to talk about it.
What do you mean this is my case? You can't treat me like an outsider.
Drop it, David.
Julia, what about the subpoena?
I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad I came.
I am too.
Can we have lunch?
Maybe we should spend lunch hour celebrating the way we did last night.
You know what we were talking about this morning, Mason? I can't stop worrying about it.
Mary, if it's the thought of having a child that's worrying you, I wish you wouldn't let it. You'll be a wonderful mother. Think what an exemplary father I'll be.
Well, of course you will, but there are some things I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, we will. Maybe not here.
And what can you do?
What? I break into the sanitarium. I get the real scoop on Kelly, okay? What the doctors are doing with her, how they're treating her, how much medicine they're giving her. And basically the doctor's notes on her. Anything you want, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, but why would you do that?
For openers, I know this Dr. Rollins from way back, and I got a little unfinished business with him.
With Rollins?
With Rollins. He treated somebody that I was rather close to a long time back, and something happened. I stepped in to find out what. When I did, Rollins blocked the whole deal. So I'll tell you what. I killed two birds with one stone here. I help you and Kelly, and while I'm at it, I look for other answers to this other caper. What do you think?
I'd say you're more interested in this other caper than you are in helping Kelly.
Oh, no. Both. I want to help Kelly just as badly as you do, and I can. But I need your help to do it.
No comment.
All right, Julie, what the hell's going on here? I think I have a right to know.
I guess you're right. You do have a right to know. What I'm doing is very simple. I am quitting.
What?
Here are your files. You find yourself another gullible attorney.